Hey guys, it's Brad here bringing you a developer update. So we've got some pretty cool stuff coming in this release, a lot to do with reporting. So I'm just going to take you for a run through some of these new features. So what I'll start with is just showing you how things look. So what you see here is pretty much the core of the new framework, the new reporting framework. So this is what we call an index query. You can build your criteria here. You can add aggregations and visualizations. You can see all the results. And then the really cool thing is you can then take that and create dashboards. So, so here is a front-end dashboard that we're looking at, which is from that query. And what I'll do, I'll just walk through this real quick, and then I'll actually show you how to create it. So just to explore what we've got here, you can see we've got a date filter, right? And so there's no data here in the last 7 days, but if I go back to the last 3 months, um, then we do. You can see we can filter by organization, so we can drill down. We can see the results down there. Um, so what we can also do is do date comparisons. So where these things show whether they've increased or decreased. But this is going to be a pretty big video already, so I'll put that into a separate video. All right, so let's see how to create that. So what I'll do is I'll start with, also we can create admin dashboards in this new framework. Um, Here's an example. So this is where you add those widgets from the queries. But yeah, I'll go into more detail on that on another video as well. Okay, so for now we're going to go down to queries. So the one I created before was this one called Sales 4. I'm going to create a new one called Sales 5. To do that, I need to start with an existing query. So these all just come as standard as part of the platform. So I'm going to go into data series, and you can see it just gives me a couple of default, or gives me a default aggregation there, an average amount, a date histogram down here, and then some records. So I'm going to click Save as New. I'm going to call this Sales 5, very imaginative. Okay, now I'm going to get rid of the date aggregation, and we're going to sort of build things up so you can see what's going on. All right, so let's just start there. Okay. Now, what I'll also do is I've created a clean version of my website in V3. So I'm going to log into that. And you can see I've got an empty dashboard at the moment. So let's just click Edit. Right, so this one's called Sales 5. Okay, so there is no criteria on it at the moment. No aggregations, just some rows. So what I'll do is I'm going to add a 100% column. I'm going to select my reporting category, add a query table, and I'm just going to choose index query. This UI here might change slightly between now and the next release, but there we go. All right, so I'll save that and we'll view that. And there you go, there's the beginnings of our dashboard. Now, straight off the bat, you can see there's some information here that's not really useful, like the record ID and the data series name. Well, I mean, assuming you're only going to show records from one data series, so you wouldn't want to show that. Profile first name, surname, we might do that differently, rewards issue date. So what we can do here is we can configure these fields. So again, this list of fields here is getting an upgrade, probably not the coming release, the one after. We're going to put more information here to help you know what these fields are. But we're going to get rid of the data series name, date entered, and get rid of most of them really. Okay, so we do have the amount. I want the sales team. I want the profile. And we're not going to use first name, surname. We'll actually use profile ID. And we'll talk about why in just a moment. What else? We need the period from, which is the sale date. Is there anything else we want? Uh, let's put the brand in. Okay, cool. Okay, so I'm just going to show the first new feature which has come in here. Now you can see we've selected the brand category ID, and over here it's sales team ID. Now this has been a problem for a long time when using this indexing or indexer-based framework, is that we capture the IDs in the index, but the IDs are obviously not very meaningful to most people. So a new feature that we've dropped in with this release is that it automatically does a lookup on the and these, by the way, that would be showing the profile's full name if there was one. But yeah, so you can see there the sales, it's not showing the ID, it is actually the name of that organization, and the same with the brand. So that makes it a lot easier to use Elasticsearch indexes, which is what is driving this. Okay, so that has saved as I've gone. So if I just do a little refresh now, you can see that. Now, as I mentioned, we're going to refresh or enhance this UI, and that's going to include reordering fields. So that will be coming very soon. Okay, so that's just a basic table. But we would like to show a little more information than that. So let's start with it with some metrics. So let's say sales transactions. So we want to know just how many there are. So we're going to do a count of record ID. Okay, let's add another one. Now, this little blue button here, by the way, that's another new feature that creates sub-aggregations. But we'll come to that later. For now, I will just add, let's total sales amount. All right, so we're going to do a sum on the amount field. So it's a sum, and we're also going to do the average sale amount. That's always useful information. So again, on amount, and we'll just choose the average. Cool. So there we are. We've got these three little metrics, and we want them to get onto this dashboard page. So what I'll do is I'm going to actually, you know what? I think just 10 records is enough for that one. So let's add 3 columns, 3-column container. Okay, so we'll go to the reporting framework, and we have our single value component. All right, so this is going to come from an index query. It's going to be sales 5, sales transactions. We can choose an icon. Let's go for a shopping cart, and we can fiddle with the colors. Be a nice blue. Oh, let's go success. Yeah. Text size, we can drop that down a little. Icon size, drop that down to match. Yeah, maybe go to a H3. Something like that. Yeah, that looks nice. Okay, so I'm going to just copy and paste that so that we get a nice consistent appearance, and I'm going to select the other aggregations. This is going to be total sales amount, and this will be give it a dollar icon. Now you can also use currency symbols, by the way, so it could go like this. Put a dollar sign there. It's that one, and then this one is the average sale amount. So go there. Average sale amount. Okay, and that's going to be dollar as well. And symbol, currency symbol. There we go. Great. All right, so let's see how that looks. Brilliant. Okay. Now, I did mention earlier, by the way, that you can have comparative dates. So that's done with this setting down here, but I'll come to that a little bit later, as I said, in the next video. Great, awesome. So we have saved that. So and that we've seen it there. So that's looking really good. We're happy with this, right? that came together quite nicely. Let's go a little bit further. Let's get some pie charts on there, and then we'll talk about filtering. Okay, so now pie charts are done with a type of aggregation called terms, which needs a little bit of explanation. Actually, let's go with the brand hat. Okay, so this is going to be the brands, and we're going to do a term. So what terms does is it means it just collects all the different values and keeps a count of how many there are of each. So you can see that's gone and added that one down there. And let's do another one. Now, this solution that I'm working with at the moment is based on a scenario of software sales. And we have a custom field on our data series called sales type, which is intended to capture whether the software sale is new, an upgrade, or a renewal. So that's really good information to have. So that'll be a terms aggregation as well. Okay, and just refresh that. There we go. All right, so we really want to get those two pie charts onto our dashboard. Okay, so I'm just going to refresh. I think I might be needed to get the new aggregations. Okay. All right, I seem to have broken something. Okay, so that's all fixed up now. But what I'm going to do is add another 50-50 container, and we're going to drop our pie charts into it. All right, so I can just search for pie chart. Now we've got some of these other pie charts, by the way, but these are for specific data items. So we want to use our reporting pie chart so we can connect it up. I'm going to choose sales 5, and this is going to be brands. I'm going to call that sales by brands. Okay, let's save that and see how it looks. Okay, that's looking great, but let's go a little bit higher. Let's give that, say, 300. And I am going to copy and paste that, and then this one is going to be on sales type. Save that. Let's see how this looks. There we go. Great. Okay, so that's the metrics and visualizations I wanted to show. Now we do also have a date histogram. But before we get into that, let's talk about some filtering, okay? Because I really want to be able to filter by date range, and I also want to drill down by organization. You can see how some of these, this is just pretty rough test data, by the way, but some of these are attributed to a dealer, so I'd like to be able to drill down and filter on those. So let's jump back to our query. Okay, so to be able to filter by dates, so this is period from, and we're going to say between. Now you could obviously put dates in here, but that's not going to be very helpful. You really need these to be the dates that come from whatever date the user has selected. Okay, so these need to be parameterized, and that's where you see there's a little bit of text up here. And here's one of these new features we've added where you can see all the available dynamic fields. So we want start and end date. So click this little icon here to copy that code, put it in there, and then end date. Pop that in there. Okay, and we're going to hit save. And you can test that out right here. So you can see I'm filtering over 3 months and we have 50 records. If I change that to 1 month, then I'm down to just 6 records. And you can see them down here with their dates. Cool. And let's try that out in the front end. Now, note that in the front end, we don't actually have a date picker yet. So that's going to default to the last 7 days. And that's why we're seeing no data here. So what we need to do is just hop in here and we'll create another container. This is going to be a 50-50 because we're going to put in two selectors. One will be for the date and one will be for the organization. Okay, so we'll start just with our date selector, our date range component. Now you can choose a default. Let's go for 1 month. There's a bunch of options here, like whether you can show fiscal year. There's also a new feature down here where if you're using promotions, they can show up in the date selector to make it easy for users to filter on those promotion dates. But that's all we need for now. So let's see how that looks. Right, so it's coming up with 7 days, and that's because I've already loaded the site. So it's already set 7 days as my date range. That's a bit weird. All right, so there we go. So that's 6 records, just as we saw in the admin side. Right, and over 3 months, we get that. All right, so cool. So now we're filtering by date range. The next thing we want to do is filter by organization. Now, this is the same. You notice the pattern here is we first have to have a dynamic criteria on our query, and then we add a selector to populate those dynamic values. So we'll do that here. Now, to filter on organization hierarchy, in almost any index you use this parent orgs field, because what that does is it pulls together all of the organizations that are relevant to a given row and plus all their parents. So that's what allows this organizational filtering. So we need to go in, right, and then we're going to use this selected orgs parameter. So selected orgs, so this is different from, so reporting orgs is all of the reporting organizations a user has access to. Selected orgs is just those ones the user has chosen from the organization selector. Now, by default, if a user hasn't selected any, these two will be the same, but they can then narrow it down. So I'm going to copy that. Oops, I didn't mean to close the whole thing, and I'm just going to put that in there. Okay, I'll save that. Now, here in the admin, you don't actually have a organization selector, so you should be seeing pretty much everything. There we go. So yep, that hasn't changed. Now in the front end, we're going to add our organization selector. There he is there. There's a bunch of things you can choose here as well, but we're just going to accept the defaults on everything. Save that and then hit a refresh over here. There we go. There's my org selector. Actually, you know what? I'm just going to pop a little bit of space in there. Let's just give it, say, 20 pixels. Just to put a bit of space between the date, or between the filters and the components. There we go. That's better. Great. So now I can. So you can see I'm browsing the organizations I have access to because I'm an administrator. I have access right at the top. If I was just if I was like a sales rep or something, I would only have access to, this specific region or dealerships that I'm tagged into. So, but I'm going to filter by this one, and you can see that narrows it down to just those 4 records. I can clear that, and then that just gets me back to everything. Great. Okay, so I think now I've covered everything I wanted to in this video. So we've shown how to create index queries that have metrics and aggregations and how to use them to create visualizations in a front-end website. Next couple of videos, I'll just go a little bit further and show how to have date comparisons on your metrics and also how to create admin dashboards. Great, thanks for watching, and I hope you're going to get a lot out of these features. Thanks, bye.